Microscopic Lust. Chapter 30. After the incident with Helena at the Gorse residence, Ursula managed to convince her father to pay for her further studies abroad. Everything has deviated from the original plan. However, Ursula had no choice. Because she has decided to run away from Helena and her life in the city of Purasabha, perhaps abroad could inspire her or give her an answer and some relief from the feelings tormenting her. Maybe heal her broken heart. But how could the wound heal if it wasn't Ursula who felt it? Yes, Ursula was tormented by longing. She missed Helena every day. She felt sorry for her every day. Every dream until she wakes up in the morning. Ursula misses the green-eyed girl even though there are other eye color choices when she goes to college. She could date a girl with blue eyes and blonde hair. She could date a gray-eyed girl with brown hair or one with brown eyes and red hair. But there's no one like Helena. Ursula didn't know what the difference was. All she knew was that she wasn't the one who was hurt. Thus, upon her return to Purasabha, the residence of Gorse was her first destination. That night she came with the hope of meeting Helena. Mr. Gorse greeted Ursula happily. He invited Ursula to have dinner together. However, after 15 minutes of waiting in the dining room, the other house occupants did not appear either. "Mr. Gorse, where are Rebecca and Helena?" Ursula asked. Gorse stopped eating and then looked at Ursula. "Rebecca divorced me. And Helena is on campus. She said she will be home in the morning." Ursula leaned back in the chair. She had missed a lot of news. Even Rebecca didn't tell her. "Sorry, nobody told me about that." "No problem. Rebecca and I are on good terms. However, Helena doesn't seem to be taking this incident well." Gorse rested his face on his left hand. "Helena will be delighted to know you are home. She was looking for you. Your father said you were going to study abroad." Ursula sighed. She wiped her lips and then got up. "I will look for Helena at her campus." Then Ursula said goodbye to Gorse. After searching around campus, Ursula still doesn't know where Helena is. There are no campus activities, as Gorse said. Helena was lying to her father. So, that night Ursula decided to give up. She would look for Helena only tomorrow. Helena isn't going anywhere. She will be on the same campus and in the same house. Sooner or later, they will meet. Before returning home, Ursula stopped by at a bar for a drink. In 2 years, she had not set foot in Purasabha. The city had become quite different. There are several new buildings. Some roads look made up to be more feasible and comfortable to pass. Chef houses and business buildings are, of course, also increasing. One of them is a bar called Cheeks. "Good evening, miss," greeted a man with a soft appearance to Ursula. Ursula nodded politely as she rolled up the dreadlocks she had just made a week before her return to Purasabha. "I just want a bottle of beer, thank you." Ursula knew this man meant to offer her something else. "Are you sure, miss?" asked the man while occasionally scrutinizing Ursula's clothes. "We have a lot of beautiful women to cheer up your night, miss." "Yes, I know," replied Ursula. "From the bar logo alone, I can tell. But, here I am." Ursula thought. And it was here that she understood that 2 years abroad had changed and opened her mind. Ursula had accepted herself. She knows that she likes women. Ursula has even told of her sexual attraction to her father. And unexpectedly, her father responded well. "Father, before I return to Purasabha, I have something to say," Ursula spoke on the phone to her father. Should I prepare my medicine?" asked the father seriously. "Maybe. You're not going home?" "No. You pregnant?" "No." "Father," Ursula was about to confess when her father suddenly cut her off. If you're not interested in men and have slept with women there, I already know. Are you okay with that, Father? Ursula was stunned by her father's words just now. I've known that you were like that since you were born. I told you to wait a minute. My daughter is on the phone. Mr. Draw spoke while yelling at his secretary. Then he returned to Ursula. Can you give me a grandchild if you have a relationship like that? I could. If I had money. Ursula stammered in reply. Okay, if that is the case. Now buy that damn ticket and come back here. That was the conversation she had with her father before returning to Puri Sabha. Ursula was confused. She didn't know what to feel. If her father knew from the beginning, why did she have to be so mean to Helena? Now, if Helena still wanted her, Ursula would happily fight for their relationship. That's the problem. Only a fool would believe that Helena would wait for Ursula. Which girl would stupidly wait for Ursula? The last time they met, Ursula slapped Helena. She shooed Helena away right after they made love. Ursula had already drunk about 3 bottles when a woman passed her crying. She watched her walk away. Out of curiosity, Ursula called the bartender. What's wrong with that girl? The bartender, who didn't want to get into trouble, shook his head. He kept himself busy by cleaning the table. Ursula took out the money from her purse. Give me another bottle of beer. She handed the money to the bartender as an open-mouth fee. The bartender gave Ursula a bottle of beer and then put all the money in his pocket. The victim of Miss Helena when she is in the bad mood mode. Miss who? Ursula asked as she took out all the contents of her purse so the bartender would answer all her questions. Miss Helena, replied the bartender. She is a loyal customer here. 3 times a week, she hires our women. But when she's not feeling well, she makes all of our women cry. What color are her eyes? The bartender felt strange about Ursula's question. Green? Blue? Ursula bit her lip. I'll pay whatever it takes if you can get me in a room with her. $300? Asked the bartender. But you're not going to get us into trouble, are you? $500 if you stop asking and do what I want. Ursula felt her heart skip a beat when she heard Helena's name. 15 minutes later, the bartender ushered Ursula in front of a room. Before leaving Ursula, the bartender said, Miss Helena has been our customer since the bar opened. Miss Helena could get me fired if all your stories were lies. But, if you two like each other, good luck. Ursula smiled at the bartender. She wasn't sure if Helena still wanted her. Once again, before entering the room, Ursula sighed. The room was 5 by 3 meters. The furnishings are ordinary, and the lights are blue and purple. A naked woman is pouring a drink into Helena's glass on the bed. The two of them turned to Ursula's presence. Helena, Ursula greeted as she approached. Helena looked at the uninvited guest, then spontaneously threw her glass at Ursula. What are you doing here? Asked Helena curtly. Ursula already knew that Helena would kick her out. So, when Helena threw the glass, she had time to dodge. I'm picking you up, Helena. Let's go home. Ursula waved her hand for the woman Helena had hired to leave. Coincidentally, the woman was already scared. She did not wait long to disappear from the room. Get out of here, Ursula. I don't want to see you here. At first, Helena's tone was sharp. I don't want you to see me here. Her voice turned into a sigh. Helena couldn't hold back her tears anymore. She felt ashamed. Her chest ached again because of the longing and disappointment Ursula had left her 2 years ago. Ursula came closer. She sat on the side of the bed. I'm sorry for being away for so long and hiding from you. I am all right. Now please leave me. I'm not going anywhere until you want to come home with me." "Then what, Ursula?" asked Helena in a disappointed tone. "You came home with me, then what?" "I will sleep with you. Free. You don't need to rent any more here. Your mother is gone, and I have a home. We can make love as much as you want. Ursula seduces." But Helena got offended by that sentence. She slapped Ursula so hard that the knots in Ursula's hair untied. Later, when Helena realized her actions, she apologized. "It's okay. I deserve it." Ursula stroked her cheek, which was thickened by Helena's punch. "Your hair. Do you like my hair? Now I'm not afraid of anything, Helena." "That's why I was looking for you." Ursula played with the strands of her dreadlocked hair. "Would you like to smell it? My hair treatment is annoying, but worth it." "What brought you back here, Ursula?" Helena asked, rubbing her cheek. "I'm going to be a teacher." "Not for me?" Helena was disappointed once again. She should have known that she wasn't that important to Ursula. Ursula looked at Helena. "It depends, Helena." "What can you give me?" Ursula climbed onto the bed and kissed Helena. Helena hesitated to return the kiss. When her confidence returned, she compensated for what Ursula had done to her. Microscopic Lust. Chapter 31. Since I was 15, I told my father that I was attracted to women. "And you're the woman that made me feel that way. I'm interested in you." "I'm so young, but I am sure of that," Helena muttered. She rested her head on Ursula's shoulder. "Both are naked. And this is the perfect time to unlock the secret they have been hiding from each other. It's time to confess everything. 2 years I have been out there. I am always thinking of you. Since the first time I set my foot in Gorse's house, I've liked you." Ursula took a cigarette from the table and gave it to Helena. "I know it. That's why I was so confused when you slapped me." Helena was silent for a while as Ursula helped her light a cigarette. As she exhaled the smoke into the air, Helena began to speak again. "I was underage. I'm 20 now. So, we're going to start this relationship?" "Not in front of my parents. I can't. My father and mother got divorced." "I can't, Ursula. Sorry. I'm not related by blood to Rebecca. So that you know. But still. I can't." Ursula nodded. "If that's what you want. No problem. The most important thing now is that I will give everything for you. I already gave my first to you." Helena smiled as she smoked her cigarette. Ursula shifted her body slightly to see Helena's face. "What do you mean?" "Before slapping me, you were the first, Ursula. For me. But you. I touched them. Yes, those girls. But I don't let them touch me. I'm waiting for you. That's why they broke up with me." "Just because of the bed problem?" Ursula does not believe that this issue is essential for today's youth. "Am I not the first for you?" Ursula immediately sighed. "Yes, you can say that. You're always my first." Ursula then kissed Helena's forehead once again. She got up from the bed and handed Helena's clothes. "Come on, back to my house. We continue there. The more I think about what you've done to the girls here 3 times a week, the more jealous I get." "You made me like this," said Helena, spoiled. She stubbed out her cigarette and followed Ursula's orders. "Never blame me because your feelings are your responsibility, Helena. How would I know I'd find you here after 2 years away? If I had a choice, I'd like to find you in." "Where?" Helena asked. "Where's a better place?" Ursula thought. "All right. That is not important." Ursula and Helena heard Rebecca snoring after they finished the story. The owner of the non-profit spiritual foundation pretended to be asleep because of Helena and Ursula's long story. "Don't pretend to be asleep, Rebecca." Rebecca immediately opened her eyes. She pretended to wipe her saliva with a scarf. Then her bright green eyes flickered. "Your story contains a lot of bed scenes. You guys sound like erotic novel writers, you know?" "Oh, Rebecca, you have no idea that Helena is so great in bed." "Amazing. You wouldn't think that Helena—" "Don't you dare talk nonsense about my daughter," Rebecca threatened. "I'm not insolenter. I'm praising her." Ursula dismissed Rebecca's accusations. She enjoyed the face of Helena, who was smiling shyly next to her. "You are indeed great, Helena. You are extra. Helena is my daughter. She's great," said Rebecca. "What does that mean, that you endorse?" "Shut your mouth, Ursula." Helena and Rebecca spoke at the same time. Ursula raised both her hands. "Okay. I give up. If you two said so." Ursula giggled. Rebecca sighed. Then, with a serious face, she spoke again. "I want to confess something to you." Helena and Ursula immediately regained their composure. They waited for what Rebecca would say. "I saw you guys that day." "What? Which one?" Ursula asked. "When Helena ran into her room and cried all day. When Ursula moved out of the Gore's house, I was there. I was there before that. I'm watching you." "And I knew this was all going to happen," admitted Rebecca, squeezing her scarf. She looked down, but neither Helena nor Ursula understood what the expression on the woman's face meant. "Are you saying that?" Helena narrowed her eyes. "Yes, I felt ashamed, and I divorced Gorse. So, you and Ursula can live in peace." Rebecca scratched her neck. "I'm not a brave person, it turns out. I cringe at the thought of the drama that will ensue between you two. And I just ran." Helena immediately stood up. She hugged her mother tightly. "I'm sorry, Mom. It's okay. I'm happy now with my life. And I'm not poor. I'm rich. Previously I was already rich." "Ha ha ha ha." Rebecca wiped her daughter's tears and kissed Helena's cheek. "A guy is approaching me recently, after all." "Does Mama like him?" Helen asked as if she had hope. Rebecca shook her head. "No man can match or even surpass Gorse," Rebecca said. "My life is so unlucky." Ursula and Helena looked at Rebecca with sad eyes. But Rebecca immediately burst into laughter. "I am kidding. Why would I go back to that house? Marrying a patient man is not a challenge. My current life is delightful. My life has no burden. I don't have to think about my maniacal daughter. Or you." She pointed at Ursula. "I'm grateful. I thought your life was going downhill." Ursula scoffed. "Your life is down. Now you're stuck on that girl." "What's her name?" "Octava," Helena muttered. "Her name is Octava." Then, as if she had an excuse, Helena cried again. "It's because of you." Ursula blamed Rebecca. "It's because of you." Rebecca blamed Ursula back. "Go home, and think carefully about your relationship. You've been through a lot of good and bad things together. It's time for you to enjoy the happiness of your struggles so far." Ursula breathed a sigh of relief. "You're right. Unfortunately, I also love Octava. And your daughter loves her too." Ursula chose not to talk about it in front of Rebecca now. She didn't want to make the night any longer. "Wait a minute. I have to pick up the phone." Ursula looked at her vibrating cell phone. "I'll get ready." Helena comes inside the room. "Hello?" Ursula picked up the phone and moved away from Rebecca. "Mr. Gorse wants me to find Helena," Octava said. He gave me Rebecca's address. Hearing that from Octava, Ursula panicked. Octava would know that she was lying. "Can you take me there?" asked Octava. "I don't know, Rebecca. Helena and her mother will spray me at once." "What if Helena is still mad at me?" Ursula wiped her face twice. Beads of cold sweat immediately appeared on her forehead and palms. "Where are you now?" "I'm still at home." "Let me look to Rebecca's place." "I talked to her." "Wait at home," said Ursula as she hurriedly looked for Helena in another room.